So we'll begin with sitting comfortably, feeling the groundedness through our seat, through our sit bones, perhaps through our feet on a block or on the floor. And you may choose to have your hands resting lightly on your lap. You could turn the palms up. You could rest the right palm up in the left palm, gently in Bhairava Mudra, which helps us to breathe fully. Or if you find it helpful to place the hands on the upper chest and the navel area and invite yourself to observe your breath there. So any of those positions of the hands are appropriate. Feeling your head, neck released, your shoulders comfortably placed so you're upright and supported. And your breath is flowing. You might even choose to close your eyes for a moment and become aware of your breath. What do you notice? What's the first thing you become aware of when you think of your breath? Is it the sensation of the breath in the nostrils? Is it the sound of your breath? Perhaps the movement of the breath, particularly if you have your hands on your body. So the sensation could be cool as your breath flows in through the nostrils, warmer, softer as the breath flows out through your nostrils. The sound could be the soft shushing sound as the breath comes in, and a slight huffing sound as the breath goes out. The movement of the breath may be experienced in the bottom of the ribs, the front of the body, the sides of the body, the back of the body. Sometimes you might feel it from bottom to top. Sometimes you might feel it from top to bottom. So all these experiences are valid, allowing us to go into our own body with our minds to observe our breath. And when we observe our breath, it helps us to focus a little more on the present. You are breathing now. You are living now, in this moment. So as you breathe, do you feel that nourishing quality of your breath coming in? And as we breathe out, that releasing, emptying quality to give us the space. Create the space to fill again with the energy and the vitality of our breath. We may consider which part of the breath we are most comfortable with. Do we find it more accessible to breathe in, more accessible to breathe out, or balanced? Do we find both equally accessible? And if we find one more accessible than the other, do we know why? Would we consider what it is about that? Sometimes it's the in-breath that we want, desire, more strongly than the out-breath. particularly if we have any issues with our breathing, such as asthma or restricted breathing. That sense of needing to breathe in. But you know that without that breathing out, without allowing you to empty your lungs, there can be no deep, full in-breath. We develop a trust in the exhale and the potential of the exhale to bring us more in-breath, more energy, more vitality to our systems. And when you're ready, breathe out, let your chin gently tuck down towards your chest, easing the back of the neck and opening the eyes if they were closed. When you're ready, lifting your head to center. We'll bring with a gentle arm practice, palms to the heart, together lightly. We're going to move with our breath to the best of our ability. And as we do it a few times, you may find you're syncing your breath and your movement more effectively. Aiming to sometimes watch our hands and travel our head with our hands, but other times just moving the arms. We're going to breathe in and stretch the arms forward and comfortably wide at shoulder height. And breathe out and bring them gently back with that out breath to where we started. Repeat that one more time, breathing in, opening wide to the side. Comfortably for you, feeling a little stretch across the chest, and as you breathe out, flowing those hands back to the front. And taking the right arm out to the side, breathing in and looking towards it. Holding there as you breathe out. Breathing in as you hold it there. And out as it comes back to the center. And you can look down to your hands if you wish. Then the left hand breathing in, opening it wide. Leaving it there for a whole breath, thinking about the shoulder. And as you breathe out the second time, bringing that hand back. You can look down. As you breathe in, taking the hands up, opening the fingers into your lotus flower. And then as you bring them down, rolling through the wrists, back down all the way to your hara. Breathing in, opening the hands to the front as if you're giving. And then bringing the hands together and down to your heart. Sending them up one more time, breathing in. And as we breathe out, rolling around those wrists gently, like water falling down into our base. Invite your breath to the base where your hands are sitting near your hara, somewhere near your navel or just below it. And we'll repeat that version of our arm breath movements. You can either start here at the dantian, the hara, or bring the hands to the heart to start. Breathing in, opening wide, finding that stretch across the front of the body, and breathing out when you're ready, coming back to the heart. Repeating again. Perhaps using your Ujjayi breath. Remember, that's the huffing breath in and the huffing breath out, and gently in the throat. Inviting your in-breath to take the arm and turn your head to look towards that thumb. Breathing out, holding it there, using your back muscles, your strength in the center. On the next exhale, releasing that hand back, looking down if you wish. Breathing in, extending the left arm out to the side and holding it there. Inhaling as you prepare, exhaling as you bring it back. Breathing in, taking the hands, spreading the fingers, and then rolling through the wrists to bring them down to your hara as you breathe out. Breathing in, sending those palms forward, opening, giving, and bringing them back, supporting them in the heart. Opening yourself up to the sky and the higher energies. And as you breathe out, rolling around the wrists to bring them back to your hara. Checking in with your breath and your body. And releasing the hands gently to the side of the body. Inviting a soft side stretch now, so livening up the sides of the body and the spine to take sideways. So you may choose to slide forward slightly on your seat and possibly move your feet further forward on the floor or your blocks that's supporting you or books, whatever you're using. So imagining, if you can, a line across the top of you from shoulder to shoulder, corner, shoulder, and that's like a gentle seesaw action is going to rock. So as you rock that, if you wish to, feel that movement through the shoulders. And occasionally, sometimes there may be a desire to stretch the neck as well and tip the ear towards the shoulder. But this could be a very gentle practice to begin to wake up the upper back and neck. And then we consider what we're using to get into our side stretch. So one side of our body is going to contract while the other side of the body is going to lengthen. The action is on the side that's pulling you down. So if you have your arms beside you gently or holding onto the chair, and you bring your awareness to your left armpit and your left hip, and you use your seesaw shoulders, and you tip yourself over to the left, you'll be lengthening lightly through the right. The head could join in if it wishes to. And you can hold that, feeling that pulling down of the armpit towards the hip. The action is on the left, the lengthening is on the right. And then to come back, we need to action on the right to pull us back to the middle. Take the action more deeply on the right, breathing in the middle, and breathing out, pulling ourselves gently over to the right. And the head can loll with the ear towards the shoulder if we choose. Bringing some length through the left side of the body. Breathing as we hold and perhaps contracting a little more in the right side. To get back, we need to contract the left side. So we breathe in here, and as we breathe out, we pull ourselves back to the middle. We're engaging some of the abdominals, but very much the obliques, which helps to trim the waist as we strengthen those side muscles. As we do it again, this time we may choose to use a little more length through the connective tissue here and adding the weight of the arm. As we go over, the arm could come up and rest on top of your head or hold the other side. And then you're lifting with the elbow, getting the stretch there. Or you may find that you can take your arm straight. So whatever is right. Of course, you can stay where your arm is now. Don't have to move it. Bringing your awareness to the left side of the body. Breathe in. As you breathe out, contract your left side. That's your beginning, and you can let your head loll if you wish. The right hand can move towards the shoulder, and then you choose whether it stays there. It goes up on top of your head and lift the elbow to take you a little further, using strength in the side, or you can extend that right arm, which is of course much heavier. When it's extended, it becomes a heavy object stretching down through that right side of your body. And then we breathe deeply, imagining that we're filling a balloon from our armpit to our waist on that right side. Can we feel the intercostal muscles from our lungs being spread and opened like a balloon, filling, inflate, deflate. And again, Ujjayi, your breath where you're huffing in and huffing out, can help you to increase the power of the breath without exhausting the body. On the next exhale, pull with that right side and release the arm. As we pause between, we notice the sensation. Then we may find, because we've taken that as a deeper stretch, there's much more sensation than there was when we first did that without the arms being additional weight. Checking in. Take a deep breath in, and when you feel ready, contract your right side of the body, pulling down to the right. Bring your left hand towards the shoulder, either staying there, you could simply lift your elbow, put your hand on your head, tip your head, lift your elbow, or extend that arm and then bring your awareness back to that right side and see where you want to take that stretch. The stretch is on the left, so breathing into your left side. Find that contraction, find that strength to hold the body in that position. No rotation, looking great, breathing. Maybe a little more contraction down the right if the left will allow you. Plant that left foot on the floor. Then deep breath in. And as you breathe out, contract the left side and let that elbow drop. And the body comes back to center. Experiencing perhaps a balance now through the both sides as the left side settles back to its position. You may, just checking that you have enough space behind you for a little bit of rotation here. And I'm going to invite you to take another look at our rotation, twisting our rotations. Sometimes when we go into rotation, we know the head can help. We know that turning the head to the side uses the neck vertebrae, and that has quite a long range potentially. The next most rotating part of our spine is in the middle, in the spine level with the breastbone. So that's the bit that has the neck spring. And then we start the rotation at the bottom of the ribs. And that sometimes feels like we can't go very far. So we might add other things to it. We might take the head and think we've done our rotation with the chest. We might throw the shoulders around and think we've taken it from the bottom of the ribs. We might lift the hip and throw the body around, thinking, leaning, that we're rotating, where in fact we're apparently doing it, but aren't really. So what I'm suggesting is we bring our hands together in our prayer position. And if you can, you want to rest them against your chest so that, and my mic gets in the way here, I have to have my wrists, we would have a wrist together, and your chin rests on top of your hands. So I'm taking my hands slightly apart, but that's only because otherwise my mic is completely obscured. I hope you can still hear. So your hands are together in prayer and you're resting your chin on your hands and your elbows are down. Let the elbows rest, let the shoulders rest. Good. And this is a great way of keeping that head in alignment. So the head stays resting on your fingertips, middle fingers under the chin. So from there, without moving anything else, take your chest and rotate your bottom ribs to the right a little bit, and then back to the center. And then you can take your ribs to the left and back to center. Ribs to the right. Notice as you do this, if anything else is changing. Am I trying to lift with my hip? Am I trying to move my legs, or are they staying still? Am I tending to lift my chin off those hands? Am I trying to get there with my elbows or my shoulders? And you may notice as you move gently from side to side that one side is slightly easier to go towards often than the other. That's simply the way it is. Let that happen. Let your body be free to go where it goes. And then you're working with what you have. And this, of course, is about the bottom of the ribs. It's not about the middle section. So then we can take it coming back to the center. We're going to take it around to the right with our hands in this position first. Once we've done that and got to that initial turning point, with our head still in line with our breastbone, we can add those other parts. And you might want to take your left hand to the outside and holding on there without using the pelvis, just the thing. And then your mid-body or your head can start to join in the rotation. But let's start with the rotation from the bottom. And when you're ready, breathe in. As you breathe out, bottom ribs, keep those elbows against the body. And you go wherever you go, think, I haven't gone very far. Well, that's okay. Left hand can come to the outside of the right leg. Right hand can go towards the back of the chair if you want to. Now find your mid-ribs. Now find your shoulders. Then your head can float around and look over your right shoulder. And your bottom ribs have stayed where you took them because that's where they went to. You haven't leaned over. Your head is still parallel with the floor and your breath hopefully is flowing. So as you come back, release your head, your shoulders, your mid-ribs, and then back bottom ribs. Experiencing where you are, how you feel. And as you remember, one way was perhaps slightly easier than the other, and it's going to be the same perhaps this time. Let's bring the fingertips underneath that chin again. Pressing down with your chin onto the fingertips. Breathe in. As you breathe out, rotate to the left. Find the place. You're not forcing, you're just gone as far as you can go, and that's comfortable and appropriate. Right hand can come down on the outside. Left hand could go behind and hold on to the chair. Breathe in. As you breathe out, change nothing except rotating your mid-ribs, shoulders, and let the head float around as far as it goes to the left. Stay breathing. And as you return, let the head float back first, then the shoulders float back, the mid-ribs, and finally rotation at the bottom. Well done. Okay, we're going to wake up a little bit with the spine now. So your hands can be on your knees. If you want a little bit of space between them, you can walk your feet, knees apart a touch, even wider if you choose. Breathing in, lengthening through tail to crown of head. And as you breathe out, hinging at the tops of those legs, straight back, coming forwards, wherever you end up. Breathing in, pushing down through the floor with your feet, coming back up to sit. Breathing out, feel as though you've got connections at the top of the shoulders and the hips and nothing is bending in between. Breathing in, lifting your head straight back on top. So watch that chin isn't leading you. Lead with the navel. Come from your tummy button towards your thighs. All of those buttons in alignment. Breathing in, push down through the feet, sit bones to come back up. One more time, if that feels fine for you. So imagine you've got a breastplate. You can't bend your chest or your head. And back to the center. Very nice. So we've kept it straight. We've hinged at the tops of the legs. Used our hip flexors and maybe our abdominals and feet. And then we may choose to take it a little more flexion through the spine. And if it's comfortable for your neck, head, shoulders, and back, you could let the head drop and round yourself softly down towards your legs. So wherever that feels good, a comfortable stretch through the back that's safe for your back. Press down through the feet, the sit bones as you unwind and roll the body back up to sit tall. Breathe in as you sit tall. And when you're ready, breathe out as you roll down, staying down if you wish to, or coming straight back up, whatever feels good for you. As far as is appropriate for your back. Breathing in if you wish to, down. And as you breathe out, you could roll yourself back up. So you can choose which aspect of the breath you move on. There isn't a written must move on the inhale, must move on the exhale. Sometimes it's very beneficial to move on the exhale, particularly if it's a stronger action that we're doing. But on the other hand, if it's something that we're looking to protect, it might also be useful to use the exhale, particularly if that engages our abdominals more, because you remember as you breathe out, it's easier to engage through your abdominals. So if it's a powerful lifting back, engaging the abdominals, moving on a breath out, may make it safer to support the back of the body. Okay. A gentle slight back bend now. Again, if you need to move slightly further forward on your chair, if you can reach either sides of your chair or the back of your chair with your arms safely, finding that width across the chest. Yes. And then in your own time, take a breath in here. And as you breathe out, without throwing the head back, lift the chest off the waist and draw the shoulder blades towards the back of the waist towards the pelvis. And then if you wish to expose a little more throat, but be careful of that head weight. Deep breath in. And as you breathe out, bring the head back, let the shoulders gently come forward and the ribs drop down towards the pelvis. Checking in. So repeating that another 3 times, so 3 times altogether. And you may wish to pause in between, feeling the noting what's going on if you wish to. Breathe in. As you breathe out, begin by lifting the ribs off the waist and taking the shoulder blades down towards the back of the waist. Opening across those shoulders, perhaps a little more throat. Stay, breathe in. And then you can come back as you breathe out. Stay, breathe in. Taking yourself back again if you wish to as you breathe out. Stay, breathe in. Move back as you breathe out. And one more time, if it's still okay with your back, if not, stop. Feel that contraction in the back, the action of the muscles. Support from the front belly. Now, as you breathe out, easing your way back to center. And observing where you were experiencing your back bending. Often we'll take it into our lower back. Not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe we can put a little more into the upper mid back if we have the range. So how does that feel? What's going on? And it may be that having done some back bending, your body is saying to you now, do you think I could go forward again just to counteract that? In which case, yeah, absolutely. You can either fold flat or you can round down. Let yourself dangle over your legs. Be careful of any eyes issues. If it's not appropriate to leave your head hanging, then please don't come back up as you require. When you feel ready, back to center, lifting your head. And perhaps moving any blocks you have for your feet out of the way and taking your feet about a hip width apart. I'm just going to move my chair back a touch so my feet are visible again. So feet hip width apart, knees hip width apart approximately. And if you want to, you can have your hands resting on your knees and lifting one heel off the floor, pushing it down, other heel off the floor, pushing it down. So we're just alternating. We're not worrying much about the breath here. Lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. And you can pump your legs a little bit if you'd like to. And can we keep fairly still in the rest of the body as we do this? Just let the legs do it. Might not be possible. There will be some reverberation going on. All right, so then we can pause there and perhaps lift the toes and drop the toes. Lift the toes, drop the toes. Lovely. So lifting both heels off and working gently around the balls of the feet. Or if you like, it's actually more in the ankles, what feels good for you. And then the other way. We're loosening up gently here. Not worrying too much about the exact movements. Just finding fluidity and mobility. And rest. So from there, we might slide a right leg away. Now I'm crashing into the back of my chair, so I'm sliding forward a bit, flexing my foot, and then bringing my leg back. Breathing in, As you breathe out, push that leg away. Breathe in, bend it back. Breathe out, push that leg away. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. One more time. Then the other side. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So you may get a bit of a stretch on the back of the leg. It's also about waking up the knee. So letting that knee have gentle waking up, bending and straightening as it is designed to do. I'm not asking it to do anything that it's not designed for. And we go as far as we go. Breathe out. Breathe in. One more time. Good. So checking in with those thighs, those big thong muscles at the top of the legs, particularly the front ones, the quads, and have a little bit of lifting the foot off the floor. How high can the floor lift? And then the other leg off the floor. We just lift and lower, lift and lower. Find some engagement through the front of it, because it's the hip flexors and the lower abdominals we want to engage here. If you find it easier to hold onto the chair, use the chair, but engage through the front of that body, make that strength. We're going to plant our feet strongly. We're going to lean slightly forward without our hands if possible, and push against the floor to bring ourselves up to stand. Very nice. Then you can move yourself around towards the side of your chair. And if you have the back of the chair to hold on to if you need to, and you've got a position aside to do what you need to do. We'll begin from our standing, and you can either stand behind the chair or beside the chair, whatever you require, and have the little gap between our feet. And then very softly, keeping our heels down, just invite a gentle bending of the knees forward and then straightening. So as we do this, imagining that you're allowing your knees to track over your middle second toes. They don't need to go big, just very little. So from the side, if you see, I'm just tracking my knees very subtly forward, letting my bottom come down and then going back up. So it's a very gentle, soft squat, and you may feel some stretch in the backs of your calves. You could be holding onto your chair as you require. What we're avoiding is knee knocking or knee bouncing out. So allowing ourselves to track to the best of our ability over those middle second toes. Okay, and then back to center. So when we lifted our legs sitting on the ground, we were using our hip flexors and lower abdominals. And you may want to hold on to your chair as we do this next section. I have to move my chair forward a touch to get there. All right, so if you can, find your weight dropping down through your leg that's closest to the chair, or if you're standing behind the chair, then it doesn't matter much. And find the top of that leg, the other leg. As you drop the weight through the one, the heel comes off the other. And avoiding swinging over too much, can I simply invite my knee to lift that leg and back down again? Exploring, dropping the weight through one leg and letting the other one come off. It might only hover off the floor a tiny bit. That's fine, whatever works for you. Now you may want to change your position, or you can simply drop the weight down the other leg and let the knee move forward and the leg come up. And I just let that leg hinge at the top, even if it's just the heel off and up onto tippy toe. How high can I go? Good. Taking your legs now a little wider and turning your toes out. Be very safe with this. Very safe indeed. What's going on in my body? And if you need to, you can hold on to a chair. And thinking about what we did at the very beginning when we were standing, we bent our knees over our toes. So are my knees and toes in the right direction? And if I simply invite my knees over my second and middle toes, allowing my knees to do the job they do, which is simply bending and not really going forward and just going down. And it may not be big. You might not do very big squat, if you like. But you're simply inviting your knees over your toes. Noticing what that feels like at the top of the legs and what you're getting going on. And then you bring the legs back. Now, if your chair is very high, this may not be possible. But if you had a books or a block or something like that, then you could instead use that to do this next bit. But you may find that for those who can put their leg up on the chair, then that's what we're doing. So if you remember, you lifted your leg up to the front. Are you able to lift it up and put it onto the chair? Now, if you can't do that, don't worry about it. Perhaps you've got a cushion or a block or something on the floor and you can place it on that instead. If you had a low stool lying around, that would be great, half the distance, or a low coffee table that's safe, but you'd need something to hold on to possibly. So please use something if you need to hold on to it. Now we're looking at the leg we're standing on. So let's don't worry about that one that's gone out to the side too much. Let's focus on the standing leg and put the weight down through the foot, through the outside edge, the heel, the big toe joint. We bring our hands back to our prayer position with our fingers underneath and our chin resting on those fingertips. Feel grounded through your feet. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, move those ribs towards that bent leg. Only as far as you can go, and then back to the center. Breathe out, twist towards that bent leg. Breathe into the center. Do that a couple of times. Keep both legs nice and strong. Back to the center. One more time. You may feel a few clunks going on in your back, possibly. Hopefully they're not painful ones. They're just, realigning. Slowly, if you need to take hold of your chair and release that leg down. Pausing in the middle and experiencing the sensations. What do you notice? What do you find? So you can either walk around your chair and stand on the other side, or you can move your chair, or if you've got two chairs, you'd have one either side, whatever you've got available. I'm just going to pop my chair to the other side. So again, if you've got a block, obviously you just shift it over to one side if you're using a block instead. A block being a book. It's not, when I say block, I don't necessarily mean a block if you don't have one. Whatever you've got, even a brick, if from the garden, if you've got a spare brick lying around, if you have a garden. So checking in with those feet, comfortably parallel. Holding onto your chair if you need, if you find that helpful. Engaging through the lower abdominals and the hip flexor. Dropping down through your left leg. Releasing your right leg, and if you can, just place it somewhere on your chair, on your block, on your low stool, whatever you've got going. So if you haven't got the right equipment when you first do this practice, then next time you do this practice, you can have everything ready because you'll know what it's going to happen. What do I find? How am I? Safe? Be careful not to lock out the standing leg knee. Then when we're happy, you can force your foot can be lower, it can be just up a little bit off the floor. It doesn't have to be all the way up on a chair. Bring those hands, tuck the fingers under the chin, elbows down, shoulders relaxed, deep breath in, and turning towards the chair or towards the leg that's lifted. Back to center as you breathe in, turning as you breathe out. Turn towards the leg that's up very slowly and gently. Remember, this is bottom ribs. Keeping the pelvis nice and still if you can. And just working that gently for yourself with your breath. Noticing the sensations, noticing the resistance. And then coming back to center, releasing the arms. And you may gently, if you want to use your hand for that, or you can hold on to the chair to bring it back. And standing. What do I notice? So we have our feet firmly planted. We're working well with our feet. And we might take our legs a little wider again, comfortably for us. We could turn our toes out a touch, but we're going to send those knees. And allow ourselves to bob down a little bit and straighten. Knees over toes. And maybe it's different now. Maybe having done that opening through the hip area, this is easier. Maybe you suddenly find, oh, I can go a little further. We're not playing with knees here. Their job is bending. That's all they do. Feet are very firm on the floor. Without our contact through the feet, we have no connection. Without, we have no rebound ability. So it's very, very important that we stay connected to our feet. All right, so with your left foot here, you can turn it so it's parallel or heels slightly turned out. And with your right foot, if it's safe, just turn it around to a right angle with your chair. We're going to explore a little bit of the triangle very gently. We've loosened up those hips a bit, so take your time, take it gently. You can have your hand beside you. The other arm can play with what it wants. It might be nice to have it just slightly out behind you. And that helps to fix that side of the body. So if you think of your shoulder and hip being in alignment and keeping that balance. And then you can lift the other arm up out to shoulder height. Deep breath in. Find your feet, press down through your feet and tip yourself over. And maybe that hand could rest on the chair. All of it's coming from that extension out of this side and folding at here. Nothing's happening on this side. We're not collapsing down. That's not it. We're keeping that body nice and long, both sides. Come back to center. The arms can be out to the side or the left arm can be dropped slightly. Realign, find your feet, deep breath in. As you breathe out, hinge yourself from the tops of your legs. And if you want to look down at your hand resting on your chair or your cushions or whatever you've got, feel that expanse across the chest. And then breathing in, coming back up, release the arms. Turn that foot to the front. Walk the feet gently back to center. Because you've done one side, it's probably going to feel different on the two sides. And we can move our chair either to the middle or slightly further over. Or we can just turn around if we need to, depending what our spaces are. And we're turning the left foot at right angle, moving the right foot away. A heel can go a little further away if it feels like. Have your foot, possibly the foot is even under the chair slightly, so that we don't bend the knees, so we should be okay. Maybe under the chair so you can reach the chair more easily. Or it could be the back of the chair that you're using if that's turned around. So the back arm could be slightly out. It can be all the way up to shoulder height, but that might encourage a shoulder forward. So being aware of your tendencies. Breathing in, lifting the left hand up. And as you breathe out, feet first, firmly down and tipping yourself. Do I find the chair? And the arm obviously moves to find the chair. Am I long in both sides of my body? Am I breathing? Lifting back up to the center. For those who want to, feels good, realign. Come back, because often that hip stays out. Realign. Center, sides of the body. Arms coming back, shoulder height or a little bit lower with the back arm. Deep breath in. And breathing over, tilting at the hip. And if you want to take that other arm up, if it feels good, you can look down at your chair. Fingertips. Whatever you're working with, keep the length through the left side of the body. Breathe there, long breaths. Then power down through your feet and lift yourself back to the center. Lower the arms, release the toes, walk the feet back, checking in. Taking your feet a comfortable distance apart, maybe possibly for some a little wider now, if the legs will allow you, turning those toes out and sending those knees over the toes. No straining of those knees, just let those knees bend. You're only going as far as it works for you. And possibly, for some of us, can go a little easier. It's just easier. I'm not trying any harder. I'm just going deeper or not. Bring those legs back. And it's quite possible that now you've done all those bits that you fancy a forward bend. You could be up the back of your chair, on the seat of the chair, or anywhere near the floor. From there, feet a little hip width apart, and fold yourself down. If you find you want to bend your knees here, please feel free to. Some of you might even rest your forearms on the chair and get a little more back bend. Or some people may be safe to come all the way down into a dangle. This is all depending on what's right for you. It's not about you copying or aiming to do what you're not ready for. So what am I working with? How safe am I? Because I want this to feel good. That's what you're saying to yourself. I want this to feel good. Prongs of the feet, heel, outside edges. Now press down, bend the knees a little bit as you roll yourself back up to stand. Checking into your body for a moment. Noticing your breath, your energy. And then wherever you are, if you can make your way back to your chair, stand in front of your chair. And to the best of your ability, know where the chair is. So you could have the backs of your legs very close to it, so you know it's there. And then you bend yourself forward, dropping, you're looking down. When you've bent enough, your bottom will find the seat. And you're sitting without using your hands. Very nice. So the most important thing we're looking for there is not simply dropping. We need to know, and that's about the thighs. A lot of that is about the thighs, engaging them and not using our knees to sit down. We want to use our thighs and our feet. So really engaging with the feet, and as we tip ourselves forward. I mean, when we come to stand up, of course, when we tip ourselves forward, if the weight goes into the feet, we might need to be shuffled a little bit further forward on the chair. But as we tip, we would fall forwards if we didn't push, and then we just use the body to stand up. So a similar thing, we want to bend the knees, tip the body forward, and then the weight, we need to control that sit down to the best of our ability. And then we're doing well. Something to practice regularly. Keep it moving, keep it going. And in the same way that coming down to the floor, which we're not doing today, it's important, if we want to maintain it, to practice it. How do we get down and up on the floor? And we'll look at that next week. So little body settle. Make yourself comfortable in your chair. Move back if you wish. Use support for the back of your waist. We're going to take a practice now. Energy, breath, and moving with the arms. Moving with the arms helps us sometimes to increase the expansion of the lungs, particularly in the sides of the ribs. So whilst we're using the lungs, it is using energy, but it also can facilitate more aeration of the lungs. It can be a useful tool to help us breathe more deeply. It's not designed to be seriously energetic. It's simply a way of thinking about lifting the energy and increasing the volume. So it's not big movements here. The only big movement is coming down. We take our hands and we rest them somewhere near the tops of the legs or the dantian, and middle fingers, ring fingers roughly touching. So it's not, they don't need to be interlaced or anything. They're just close by. So our palms are facing up as if we're ready to lift the energy. So if you imagine that the energy is sitting in your hands and you're going to lift it into your body. It's actually coming in through your nostrils and into your lungs, you can imagine. So we're going to lift the energy up. We're going to continue breathing in till we've got our hands level with our throats, approximately. So we're going to lift the energy slowly, breathing in, up to about mid-chest, turning the hands towards us. From there, if we're happy to, we're going to hold the breath as we go past the face and just above the head. And then we'll breathe out as we let the flow of energy come all the way down. And as we pause, we bring the hands back to our starting position. So the time it takes us to get from here to here is the whole full breath. So we may need to move very slowly. The time it takes to get from here to here is holding our breath, and that can be as quick or slow as is appropriate for you, no forcing. That breath out is coming all the way down, and then there's a little pause as we bring ourselves back to starting. So we have 4 parts of the breath: in, pause, out, pause. The pause for holding the breath in is slightly longer. If you have high blood pressure, move faster, or don't hold your breath, just whiz through that bit. If you don't, or your blood pressure is controlled, this will help to lift your energy. That's the intention of it. That's why we're holding the breath in for a moment, to give you some vitality and energy. All right? Let's see how we go. So when you're ready, slow breath in, hands up to about mid-chest. Once you're full, hold the breath as you travel over your face and on top of your head. When you need to breathe out, slow breath out. Breathing all the time, the arms are coming down towards the side. Pause when the breath is out, bring your hands back to start position. Then you're ready to breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold out. Continue. You can close your eyes if you wish to. Now, remembering to hold in is probably the hardest part. And long, slow exhale as you bring the arms slowly down and out to the sides. 2 more times, working with your breath. After those 2, sit quietly, experience. You might rest the right hand palm up into the left hand palm up, into Bhairava Mudra. The gesture of Shiva's fearsome aspect. An integration mudra, bringing all parts into unity. And helping us to connect with our higher self. Rooted in the earth, rising towards the heavens. And bringing stillness. Being still like a bowl of water. That sense of fluidity, potential, rather than still and rigid like a rock. Still like a bowl of water. And feeling what you feel. Notice. I am body, breath, mind, and spirit. I am whole. And with your breath, feel that you are coming home. Come home to your breath. So we gently bring our palms together into Anjali Mudra in front of our breastbone, heart space. And you might like to adopt a face mudra as well, a face gesture of putting a smile on your face. And feel that connection of your smile to your heart space, to your hands, to your sense of joy, or the possibility of joy. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. Hariam Tat Sat. Namaste.